welcome into the Money Down NFL show presented by BetPrep right here on the Draft Network YouTube channel with me, Jaime Eisner, and Brentley Weissman. Brentley, we're so glad to have you back and hoping everyone had a wonderful Christmas holiday to those that celebrate, and hope you all are enjoying the last week of the year. Crazy to say that. Where did 2021 go? This is the show that brings you all the NFL Week 16 action, betting advice, tips, and trends you need to walk away, hopefully, with some extra money in your pocket. Going along with the holiday joy, yesterday we heard about the New York Giants head coach Joe Judge hand-delivering Christmas bonuses to the 8-person kitchen staff that fuels the team with team money raised by the Giants coaches and players to say thank you. This is why I love the holidays. I love these types of stories. Yesterday, we also saw Aaron Rodgers press Brett Favre for the most passing touchdowns in Packers history as the Packers knocked off the Cleveland Browns. But the COVID-19 pandemic and outbreak is something that we continue to follow and monitor. Unfortunately, as hours before last night's game, against the Cardinals, the Colts placed multiple players on the reserve COVID-19 list. So lots to break down with Jaime and Brentley. But first off, fellas, how was the Christmas holiday? I'll start with you, Brentley. We missed you last week. Hope you had some fun, and hopefully Santa was good to you, Brentley.
Yeah, good to be back. I hope you guys had a good Christmas with your guys' families. I was my parents, no complaints. Santa was good to me. Hopefully Santa's, even better to me today. I was down some money yesterday. Packers got conservative at the end. I don't understand why, but hopefully we can shake that off and battle back.
Yeah, another week the Packers almost gave us a scare, right? Before it was against the Ravens and this week against the Browns. But glad that Santa was good to you, Brentley. I feel like as you get older, sometimes Santa can be a bit stingy. So it's good to see that even as we get older, he's still bringing us bliss. Enjoy. Jaime, how was your Christmas holiday?
It was good. Spent it with family, and Santa blessed me with a nice 4-leg parlay that hit last night during the Packers game. So I'm pretty happy about that. Help pay for some of those gifts that at this time of year, kind of your wallet feels a little bit lighter than it usually does.
Yeah, a lot lighter. So I'm not liking that feeling. So hopefully we get it back fatter today with some good stuff. So Santa, please continue to be good to us. All right. Let Christmas keep giving us gifts. All right. We need that. And I feel positive going into it. But you guys also got to enjoy some good games, right? NFL football, NBA games. Like, this is why we love Christmas. And hopefully you both also helped out in the kitchen making some good Christmas meals. And talking about good things happening, fellas, let's start with the games that we have. First off, we're going to start with the Washington football team taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The night closes with the Washington football team in the Big D versus the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys will look to wrap up the NFC East this week when they face the Washington football team. Cowboys have already clinched, a playoff spot. Their first since 2018. It's been 3 years. Following the recent San Francisco 49ers loss to the Tennessee Titans, the Cowboys' 8-1 conference record ensured that they won't fall below the 7th seed. So as you think about playoff seeding, something to think about. And things are trending upward for America's team. The Washington football team, though, on the other end, they're trying to overcome some recent tragic events after safety. DeSager Everett was involved and the driver in a fatal one-car crash that killed the vehicle's passengers. So thoughts and prayers out to the victim's family. Landon Collins also out in this game. Dallas is an 8.5-point favorite at home versus their division rivals. The total is 46.5. Jaime, let's start with you on this one. Who do you have coming up big?
I'm taking the under here, under 46.5. Both of these teams have played pretty heavily to the under recently. Washington's gone under in 7 of their last 9 games. Dallas, 7 of the last 8. And we talked a little bit on this show last week about how, Dak Prescott doesn't quite look like himself since coming back from that calf injury. On the other side of things, Antonio Gibson is banged up right now. At the moment, it looks like he's going to play, but it would not be a huge shock if he's inactive. I just think this is going to be a pretty low-scoring game in general. I don't see Washington getting into the upper 20s. And so on Dallas' side, you're really looking to see if their offense can be the one that carries this over the total. But they're only averaging 24 points per game since their bye week. I think this game stays in the low 40s.
Good points, Jaime. Like you said, we've been talking all about that Dallas defense, but hey, offense also is needed to win a football game. Brentley, give me your thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Washington plus 8.5 here, and it's really for a lot of the same reasons Jaime had mentioned. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. The Dallas Cowboys offense hasn't simply not been the same since Dak Prescott hurt his calf. They are really struggling, and really they've been having to rely on their defense. And because of that, I don't think Dallas is built to be able to blow out a team like Washington, who's feisty. they can score some points. Terry McLaurin, he's still getting his. They're getting Taylor Heineke back from COVID. Antonio Gibson, while he is questionable, I do expect him to play. And over his last month, he's been sensational. I mean, he's been really, really hard to stop on the ground. I think he'll be able to find room against this Dallas defense. And I just believe that Washington will be able to do enough to keep this within a one-score game. If you guys remember, I think it was 3 weeks ago, Dallas on the road at Washington was blowing this team out, but Washington just battled back and kept it within a one-score game. I can see that happening again today. I just think this is too many points for a divisional opponent. I'm taking Washington plus 8.5.
We are known to be a little bit feisty in Washington, Brentley, so I definitely agree with that one. And for my pick in this one, I'm going to keep it simple. Like, Dak Prescott is a perfect 4-0 on the money line and 3-1 against the spread versus the football team in Dallas. So give me Cowboys at minus 8.5 for my pick in this matchup. I love seeing it, though. These are true rivals going head-to-head. The fans are already going at it. Lots of Washington fans heading on down to Dallas. So we'll see who comes out smiling after tonight's game. But again, prepare for your Cowboys fans, folks, if they win this game. Your friends are just going to go crazy. We know how they're feeling. They're going to the playoffs, and they're just trying to keep riding on this high. So again, prepare for your Cowboys fans. Give them some grace, all right, if they do come out on top of this game. Brentley and Jamie, let's head to our next matchup. We've got the Buffalo Bills taking on the New England Patriots. Big game in New England as the Buffalo Bills host the Patriots with the AFC title in the balance. The most important game of the season for both teams. Both Bills wide receivers Gabriel Davis and Cole Beasley are unvaccinated and are out for today's game. New England is a 1-point favorite, and the total is 43 in this matchup. Helping me to break it down on this one, Brentley, let's start with you.
Yeah, I really hate rooting for the Patriots, but man, do I love betting on Bill Belichick, and that's exactly what I'm doing today. When we saw these two teams play, I think it was earlier this month, December 6th, they were playing in a monsoon. I mean, it was a crazy weather, crazy windstorm. And because of that, the Patriots ran the ball every single play besides 3. They did 3 pass attempts in the entire game. And guess what? The Bills could not stop them. The Bills are a horrible tackling team. I expect that to happen again today. Look for Damian Harris to go off. He's coming back from injury. He's going to be a bell cow with Ramondre Stevenson out. I just simply don't expect the Bills to all of a sudden wake up today and remember how to tackle. Like, that's been a problem for them all season. Their offense, meanwhile, hasn't been great either. This is not the explosive unit that we saw last year, and now they're without Gabriel Davis, who's really come on strong, and Cole Beasley. I just really struggle seeing the Bills winning this game at Foxborough, at New England. I love the Patriots in this spot.
Brentley, the Bills' defense is a little sensitive. You're trying not to ever be allowed until press conference saying those types of things. We got to be nice to them,
Sorry,
all right?
Micah Hyde. Sorry.
You got to stop them. That's the only way to make them quiet. I like that. Bet on Bill Belichick. That needs to be on a T-shirt. Bet on Bill. If somebody, steals my idea, all right, get credit for it. But I like that. It's hard to bet against Bill. Jamie, give me your thoughts in this matchup.
So I'm also going to go on the Patriots side of things here. I'm going to take their over on their team total of 20.5 points. If you take out that Blizzard game that Brentley mentioned, they have hit the over in 8 of their last 9 games on this total of 20.5 team points. They're averaging 31.3 points per game since week 5. Again, aside from that snow game, 31.3 points. This team and this offense has been clicking. This defense has the ability to score as well. As Brentley mentioned, Buffalo sometimes struggles to tackle. They also don't quite look the same without Trey White manning one of the cornerback spots. I think the Patriots should have no issues getting to 3 touchdowns in this game.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamie. And to all the parents out there, you're hearing the trouble tackling. So start them young. Make sure they know how to wrap up and get those guys down so we can talk about them here on a future show as they grow older. And for my pick in this matchup, look, the Patriots have won their last 3 home games, but I do like the Bills to get the upset this week in New England. I'm calling for upset this week, and this is the one that I'm picking. So give me Bills +1 in this matchup for my pick in this game. Fellas, we're going to keep on rolling because lots of great football going on today. Next, we have the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Rams travel to Minnesota as 3.5-point road favorites versus the Vikings. The Rams are on a 3-game winning streak, and they seem to be getting ready for what we'll hope will be a deep playoff run. For the Vikings, every game is a playoff game the rest of the way. A win today, and the Rams take over first place in the NFC West. The Rams activated defensive back Jordan Fuller and Tyler Higbee off reserve COVID list, and both are expected to play. Could the Rams just be the greatest show on turf? I'm just asking. The total in this game, 48.5, which is a high total for this game of this time of the year. So all that being said, Jamie, give me your thoughts on this NFL matchup.
Look, I'm going to keep this pretty simple here. There's no Dalvin Cook in this matchup. The Rams have the quarterback advantage. The Rams have a better team overall. I'm going to take the Rams here on the road to cover the 3.5 points. I just don't think anybody on Minnesota can cover Cooper Kupp. Quite frankly, nobody's covered Cooper Kupp at all this year. The combination of Sony Michel and Dale Henderson in the backfield. I know Minnesota has played a lot of teams tight, and they've had the lead in the vast majority of their games at one point this season. And look, I know we've seen some really boneheaded throws from Matthew Stafford here at times as well. But to me, when I look at this team and how they're playing and look on paper and look at every matchup, I just cannot see a way that the Rams lose this game unless they lose it themselves. They are a far better team right now. And I think this line is pretty indicative of where they're saying they wouldn't even be a full touchdown favorites at home. I think that's a little bit generous to Minnesota right now. So give me the Rams to cover 3.5.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. And what's there not to love about Cooper Kupp? As you said, we love what he's doing on the football field. People love his hair. Like, everybody just loves Cooper Kupp. Brentley, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I'm going with Jamie. I'm taking the Rams -3.5 here. I think both of these offenses will be able to score. I know Cook is out, but I do have a lot of respect for Alexander Mattison. The Vikings also do get Adam Thielen back, which I think is a huge deal considering Jalen Ramsey will be aligning against Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins will need a security blanket. I think Thielen can be that guy. That being said, Aaron Donald is playing like a man possessed over the past 3 weeks, and I don't think Minnesota's going to have an answer for him. I think he's going to go off. Kirk Cousins, as we know, is very, very bad against pressure, especially pressure coming from the inside. I look for Kirk Cousins to throw at least 2 interceptions, and because of that, I think the Rams are going to be able to cover this -3.5 pretty easily.
Yeah, a lot of people would have problems with Aaron Donald, right? If we're being honest, I mean, he's Aaron Donald, and we know what he can do on the football field. And for me, I'm also going to keep it simple with my pick. When the Rams have been on the road this season, the over is 4-2-1. So I'm going over 48.5 for my pick in this matchup and this game. All right, fellas, we're going to keep on rolling through these games because next we're going to talk about the New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Another disappointing season is coming to an end for the New York Giants. The Eagles, on the other hand, still have a shot at the playoffs in the NFC. Interesting to note, though, that the Giants beat the Eagles less than a month ago. Santa was good at granting wishes this year, as Nick Sirianni will coach the team from the sideline of the Link this afternoon after testing positive for COVID-19 on Wednesday. Also, starting left guard Landon Dickerson was removed from the reserve list. All right, so that's a positive. And right now, nobody is running the ball as good as the Eagles. They're the first team to rush for at least 175 yards in 7 consecutive games since the 85 Bears. We all remember how good that team was. And Miles Sanders has consecutive 100-yard rushing performances. So all that to say, the Giants right now as 10.5 point. This week, the Eagles host the lowly Giants as 10.5-point favorites. The total is 40.5. Brentley, what are you thinking in this one?
I'm going with the under here, under 40.5. And look, I know this is a really low number, and I was actually tempted to go with the Eagles -10.5, but that's just a lot of points for a divisional game. And so I'm going with the under here, and it's really because of the Giants. I have a hard time seeing them get past 10 to 15 points in this game. They're starting Jake Fromm in his first NFL start, and then the Eagles defense is playing really well as of late. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to do much at all in this game. And then, as you said, Kelsey, the Eagles are running the ball so well, so efficiently. Miles Sanders is doing great on the ground. I think they're going to try to run this ball and slow this game down, limiting explosive plays on both sides. So I look for the under here, call it 24-9 type of game.
All right. Thank you, Brentley. And again, last year, everybody was laughing at the NFC East. But right now, we're looking at these games because we're talking about possible playoff implications. So crazy how a year has changed this football season. Jamie, what are your thoughts in this NFC East matchup?
Well, I think Brentley misspoke there. He means he wants a 25-9 game because I'm taking the team total over on 24.5 for the Philadelphia Eagles here. The Giants allowed the second most points per game on the road this year, nearly 29 points per game. Eagles are scoring about 26 points per game at home. They are running the ball with a high level of efficiency. I expect them to generate some turnovers on the defensive side and give them advantageous field position as well. I agree with I don't know how the Giants score points in this game, but I do think the Eagles can get themselves to 27 or maybe even 30 in this game to hit the over for themselves.
I love that. We don't know how the Giants are going to score points. Somehow they're going to possibly score some points, though. Something to look out for. And am I picking this one? Like, hear me out. The Eagles have been favorites in 5 games this season. The over has cashed in each of them. So for my pick in this matchup, give me for over 40.5 for my pick in this game, over 40.5 for my pick in this matchup. Something everybody will be watching closely, especially from my neck of the woods. And talking about my neck of the woods, another game we're going to be looking at closely is the next game, the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals and Ravens playing one of the biggest games of the season today. The Ravens will look to avenge a big home loss to the Bengals from earlier in the season. Baltimore will do so without Lamar Jackson, a former league MVP, trying to work his way back from an ankle injury. And also, no Snoop Huntley. He also got moved to the team's reserve COVID-19 list of all days on Christmas Day. So emergency backup Josh Johnson is a healthy quarterback that will get the start. Ravens suffered their 3rd consecutive loss last week, falling to 8-6 on the season. And many are still discussing the controversial go-for-2 decision by coach John Harbaugh. On the other end, Burrow is Pro Football Focus's highest-rated quarterback in 2021. The Bengals went from being a 2.5-point favorite, folks, to a 7-point favorite. The total in this game is 42. Brentley, so much to unpack here from the Baltimore side. It just seems like things keep going from bad to worse for Baltimore. But what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Has a team been any more cursed than the Ravens this year? Think about all the injuries they had before the season with J.K. Dobbins and throughout the season with Marlon Humphrey and Lamar Jackson and all this COVID stuff. I mean, my gosh, but, I was leaning the over here before the news broke yesterday about Tyler Huntley. So I'm pivoting, and now I'm going to go with the Bengals to cover 7 points at home. If we all remember the last time these two teams played earlier in the year, the Bengals kicked their butt. And Joe Burrow shredded this Ravens defense for, I think it was 416 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase looked like Calvin Johnson. I mean, it was ridiculous. And considering the Ravens have no starting secondary that they had at the beginning of the year due to injuries and COVID, I think we could see a lot of the same thing that we saw earlier in the season when these teams played each other. So I'm taking the Bengals here. The Ravens love to play man coverage, love to blitz. Joe Burrow is the best at both, at passing against the blitz and man coverage. And so I think Joe Burrow is going to have a huge game. And real quick, I'm really sad he didn't make the Pro Bowl. Joe Burrow is having a great year. And I know we have Mahomes, Herbert, and Lamar, and Josh Allen in the mix. But, man, Joe Burrow, props to you, man. Go win today and make me look smart.
And he's another player, if we look at a year ago where he was and where he is today, and we're looking at this Bengals team, and they're starting to demand respect. But like you said, geez, what did Baltimore do to anybody? Like, all right, if God has a favorite, it's definitely not Baltimore. I'm sorry, folks. It's just not. It just seems like things keep coming out of nowhere for the Baltimore Ravens. And as you said, the defense, I don't know, Wink Martindale, he's going to have to plan something real special if Baltimore somehow tries to get this win today with a 3rd-string quarterback getting the start. Jamie, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, this may seem crazy. I just think the Ravens will keep this close. I don't think they're going to win this football game, but I think they might be able to keep this close. They're desperate right now. They're well coached. They're going to have a lot of things going for them in this. My concern is going to be, what are we getting from Josh Johnson? Like, what is this offense going to look like? What do we get from the secondary? Do they bracket Jamar Chase a lot like they did with Devontae Adams, but then leave themselves susceptible for Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins? It's going to be an interesting game, but I do think the Ravens might have a few tricks up their sleeves. We might see some interesting special teams plays from Harbaugh and company in this game. And to me, I need to see the Bengals start to string together multiple against the spread victories. This is a team over these last couple years. They are 3-10 against the spread following a victory. I would like to see the Bengals put together back-to-back statement performances on a consistent basis before I'm definitely going to pick them. I think they win, but I'm going to take the 7 points right now for Baltimore.
Yeah, you make good points because if there's any team that you can never count out, I feel like it has been Baltimore. I mean, we talked about the beginning of the season and how they look so depleted, and lo and behold, at one point during the season, they were atop the AFC, folks, and this is a Baltimore team that had been battered. So again, the Ravens always give you so many questions, and yes, John Harbaugh, I think he can get some redemption back if he does get on special teams with his special teams coaching background. For my pick in this one, again, we've got a third string quarterback. We're going to see how Josh Johnson looks. Lots of pressure on him. But that being said, third string quarterback, I'm going to take the 7 points with the Ravens. In 7 games played since the 2018, Johnson is 4-3 against the spread with 3 straight up wins. Harbaugh will work his coaching magic, I think, as Jamie alluded to. And the Ravens will at least cover the numbers. So give me Ravens +7 for my pick in this matchup. Again, there's something special sometimes in Baltimore. So you just never know what you are going to get. All right, Brentley and Jamie, that's a wrap on our top NFL picks. And coming up next, we've got more. So be sure to stay tuned because more of the Money Down is next.
And let's move on to a divisional game here. The Broncos and the Raiders. You have a couple bets here that you like. And it's been a tough season for Courtland Sutton, and that's emblematic of this number. I was very surprised to see this number, 23.5. That if that doesn't describe how the season has gone for Sutton, I don't know what does. But this number's got to be so low that you just got to like the over here, right?
Jamie, that's exactly what it was. Like, I get it. It doesn't need to be explained to me. The guy has been, from a fantasy perspective, no bueno, right? I mean, he's going under 4 in a row. But here's the thing, Jamie. He's a starting wide receiver on an NFL team. And with the exception of a handful of guys, I'm just going to like over 23.5 yards, almost just by default, right? And he's still going over this 8 of 14 times, still been a winning bet despite, and I understand Judy didn't play in some of those games. I get it. But he's gone over 37 of 47 in this career. I can't say this is a total. His career is over. I guess, and again, I made a big bet on Sutton before the year. I've been under 1,000 yards. So this is not a player I expected to have a great year before the year started. But I think the hate is maybe going a little bit too far. Again, I made this over under a full 10 yards higher. I made it 33.5, which is a big difference than 23.5. I'm usually not off that much in these numbers when I do them. I grabbed that 23.5. I just think it's too low of a number despite his very, very lack of success recently.
So you got Courtland Sutton there, Jerry Jeudy, as you mentioned, Tim Patrick as well. And the fourth option is Noah Fant, the tight end. His over-under is set at 43.5, considerably higher there than Courtland Sutton. And that's why you're going the other way here, right? Just too many mouths to feed and
it's something like that. And look, I actually, by the way, I watch this. I actually like Noah Fant. He's a guy, actually, he's a talent if you agree, disagree. But he's actually a guy, I think he's a good player. I think he has a chance in the right situation. If he was, for example, on the Eagles, Dallas Goedert's putting up these really good stats, right? I think Noah Fant would do the same kind of thing. I like Noah Fant. But look, I'm dealing in what's reality, right? He's gone under this in 7 to 12 games. So right off the bat, that's, 7 out of 12 winner. Okay. He's averaging 39 yards a game, not 43.5 yards a game. But here is why I did this, Jamie. Okay. If Drew Lock was not playing, I still would have had a legitimate lean, but I have to ding this team. And I ding Sutton too. I got him down to 33.5 because of the Drew Lock factor. I have to ding Noah Fant as well. I just think Drew Lock, if he's not the worst quarterback in pro football, he's right up there. I think he's pretty inept. And to me, I just don't trust this player in terms of having any success in the passing game for a number that's that high. Again, Sutton, we did 23.5, Jamie. We did 43.5 with Fant. So anyone listening here, again, I bet numbers, not players. That's what I'm betting a number here. And to me, again, I think the one number's too high on Fant. I think the number's too low on Sutton. I think both these players should be probably closer to the 33.5 number. And I think 1 yard player's too high and one player's 10 yards too low. So that's why I made those two opposite bets.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Thanks so much for staying with us this week. Brentley, Jamie, and I are trying something new. Each of us will build a three-leg parlay. For those of you new to betting, a parlay is when you bet multiple events on the same ticket. All of the wagers must win for the ticket to cash. All right, so that's what we're doing. And to kick this one off, Brentley, again, since we're so glad you're back with us, let's start with you on this one. Let's do that parlay.
Yeah. So this was a lot of fun. Parlays are something I do every weekend. For this week, I'm going with Chicago, Seattle under 41.5. I mean, both of these offenses are frankly terrible. Meanwhile, their defenses are showing some fight, so I like this under here. Pittsburgh, Kansas City under 45. As we all know, Kansas City is going to be undermanned without Travis Kelsey. And even with Travis Kelsey, their offense has been underperforming as of late. Pittsburgh offense, do I need to say anything about them? I mean, they are god-awful. I think they've hit their under in almost every game this season, so I like that under. And then Carolina plus 11 versus Tampa. Tampa is really, really banged up. No Fournette, no Evans, no Godwin, no Levante David. Carolina, this will be their Super Bowl. 11 points is a heck of a lot of points. I like Carolina to keep this game somewhat close, and so I like this parlay. I like the odds of it hitting.
And that's all you have to do. You have to like it, Brentley, all right? And we're happy with that one. So thank you for sharing that. And Jamie, now let's see what you have on your slate.
Yeah, let's take a look at this one here. We talked a little bit about the Eagles and the Giants already, and we've had a commercial break, and I thought about it, and I still can't find a way that I think the Giants are going to be able to score double-digit points in this game. So while the Eagles might not, again, score a ton, they're going to have more than enough here, I think, to cover the 10-point spread. With the Rams, we talked about them as well. You know, since they added the hook there, I just wanted to give myself a little bit of coverage because the Vikings can be a little bit pesky. So in terms of this parlay, I wanted to grab the Rams money line here. The one game that didn't have a chance to talk about, and it's the Monday night game. This is an extremely low total here for the Dolphins and the Saints. And I get it. I know Ian Book is starting. I know the Saints got all of 9 points last week, and they've had some issues. But I like the way Miami's been able to move the ball the last couple of weeks. I do think New Orleans will at least be able to hang around 10, 13, 14 points in this game. And Miami should do enough in the rest to hit the over here as their playoff lives are on the line. Two desperate teams in this game as well. 37.5 is just too low for me. So I'm going to take the over in that as well and getting nearly 5-1 return on this three-leg parlay.
All right. Look, when the desperation kicks in, truly anything can happen. All right. Now let's look at mine. For my parlay, I'm going to start with the Detroit Lions getting a full 6.5 points on the road versus the Falcons. Atlanta is 0-5 against the spread at home this season. The second leg of my parlay will be the Buffalo Bills money line. Like I said earlier, I like the Bills to go on the road and get the big win this week. And finally, I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers money line. The Bucs should make easy work of the Panthers. That's a little bit of a look into mine. But fellas, I'm liking this. I'm hoping we all win big this week so we can all have smiles, right? It's a joyous week. Christmas is here. Santa just left our chimneys. Like, we should all be in good moods, hopefully, after football today. So football, don't disappoint us. That will do it for our parlay segment. Be sure to continue to stay tuned to the Draft Network because more of the Money Down is next.
And I'm back again here with Tommy the Hitman, NFL Sharp for BetPrep to break down his 3 best bets of the week. Let's get right into it. We've had some really interesting divisional matchups this week. One of them is the Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of playoff implications there for both teams. I mean, what do you like in that matchup?
Yeah, so I like the under 42 in this one. Drew Lock, we all know that he's struggled his entire career, and it's continued this year. For the season, he's throwing for only 5.7 yards per attempt, and we know that Denver's going to play conservative. Denver plays at the 4th slowest pace in the league, and that pretty much explains why Denver games this year have the least amount of points scored in their games out of any team in the entire league. The Raiders' offense has scored 16 or less points in 6 of their last 7 games. Without Darren Waller, they've only had 2 20 or more yard pass plays in their last 3 games, and they've averaged only 13.3 points per game. Derek Carr hasn't thrown for more than 1 touchdown in any of his last 5 starts. These are 2 bad offenses, and Denver's just got worse with putting Drew Lock in at quarterback, so I like the under 42.
So another game everybody's going to have all of their eyes on are the Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots. A very snowy, run-filled game last time. Should be a little bit closer to a normal football game. What do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, so I still like the under in this one. And, Buffalo, they've been running the ball a bit more as they gave Devin Singletary 22 carries last week, and they also ran 55% of the time against the Saints a few weeks back. The Bills are without wide receiver Cole Beasley and maybe without wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders, and their pace has dropped from 8th to 19th in the past few weeks. Patriots, we know they're a run-first team, and since Tom Brady has left, that's really been their identity, is running the ball and defense. They've went under in 19 of their 30 games since Brady left, and the Patriots are also dealing with injuries to their wide receivers as well. Obviously, I don't expect the same offensive struggles that we got to see in those windy conditions, but I think that there's still value fading these teams' offenses this week.
You like the under, but do you like a particular side against the spread in this matchup? Sounds like with some of the players that are out for Buffalo that maybe you're leaning toward New England.
Yeah, so I like New England. And the Bills have struggled all year against run-first physical offenses. They lost outright and against the spread against the Titans, the Colts, and the Patriots. And also, the Patriots, they had zero threat of a passing game when they played Buffalo and ran the ball down their throat. Now, what's going to happen when they actually have a threat of a passing game in this week's matchup? Bill Belichick has fared really well against Josh Allen throughout Josh Allen's career. And Josh Allen this year, when facing defenses in the top 12 of EPA per dropback and pass defense, he's thrown for only 5.7 yards per attempt in one of those games. Patriots, of course, first in the NFL in EPA per play pass defense. So New England's a better team. I think they should be laying 3 in this one. Take the Patriots.
Well, there you have it. The 3 best bets of the week from Tommy the Hitman. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week with your 3 best bets.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the Money Down NFL show. We will now turn our attention to see this week's leaders on our leaderboard after 15 weeks of football action. So, Brentley and Jamie, let's take a look at our leaderboard. All right. Ooh, no wonder Jamie previewed for me before that I'd love to see this leaderboard. I think we should just end the show like this and just keep this up. Let this be the lasting impression for everyone. No, I'm kidding, but look, it feels good. Santa did grant my wish, Jamie.
Said you got the big week leading into Christmas here. A lot of it, unfortunately, yeah, we were pretty different on a few of these games, and man, more than 6 units positive. That is a good weekend of football.
See what happens when you are on Santa's nice list. Kids, don't be naughty. Positive things can happen. Life lessons for all out there. We're going to go to our Go for Twos, but something interesting to note that I see a lot of conversation about really quickly, fellas. All the backups that we're going to see today: Tim Boyle, Drew Lock, Drake Fromm, Josh Johnson, Nick Foles, Ian Book. Just curious if you guys have any thoughts on that and how that might kind of change people's perceptions as they look to place bets for today.
It's not great. I mean, you never want lack of clarity when you're betting. You want to kind of look at the trends. You want to see how players are playing, systems are going, and it's tough to predict when you have backups, third stringers, and in some of these cases, it makes it really difficult to bet, and it makes it really difficult to bet early in the week. Like a lot of times, you want to bet earlier in the week and get a sharper number for yourself, but between injuries, which are always a risk, and COVID, which is ravaging the league right now. I mean, I don't feel comfortable placing my bets more than about 24 hours in advance of a game at this point. And a lot of times I just want to do it the day of and just knowing I'm not going to get the sharpest number, but I don't want to risk, betting on I don't want to bet the Ravens +3 and then expecting Huntley or Lamar Jackson to play and then find out that, oh no, it's Josh Johnson that's playing. It's really rough right now. You almost just have to be super patient.
Basically, you have to have that patience.
Literally today, I haven't placed my bets yet for today. I'll do it after this show because I refuse to take any chances with COVID, with the injuries. Last week, I'm trying to remember who got out when I had placed the bet. Last week, I placed the Raiders ticket and they moved the game. And I
Yeah.
was thinking, oh, great. Like
Yep.
the Browns are going to be completely down with COVID. Like, let me get my Raiders ticket early, postpone the game, and allow some players to come back, and luckily I was able to win. But lesson learned in the COVID era that we're living in for bettors, it's better to wait and get all the
Yes.
information available and make the best bet for yourself rather than try to get ahead because then you can get really, really unlucky.
Facts. Like, look, wait and play it safe. That's just what it is. Because I feel like, especially in Baltimore, just when folks got used to Tyler Huntley, lo and behold, oops, he got COVID. He's out. And then all of a sudden we're like, geez, what is happening? Like you said. So many backups playing, but also it's a great chance for them, of course, to get their shine and hopefully have some positives on game day. And with that being said, for some positive, let's go to our go for twos. I'll start with you first on this one. Jamie, what's your first one?
Well, this is going to be a very Eagle-centric show, and I'll keep that train rolling here. I'm going to take the over on Dallas Goedert's receiving yards, over 55.5 yards. He's gone over in 3 of the last 4, averaging about 75.5 yards per game. And this 55.5 mark is right about where the Giants allow to tight ends on average anyway. We have seen Goddard take on a huge role in this offense the last few weeks with a couple different quarterbacks, not just Jalen Hurts. I expect him to continue to keep rolling in this game and get into at least, heck, I think he can get close to that 75 mark that he's been averaging over the last month of the year.
Yeah, that's a name that Washington doesn't like so much right now, Jamie, after the past week. And then the elf outfit to add insult to injury. Just ouch, Dallas. All right, Brentley, what's your first go for two pick?
It's funny. I'm staying in the same game with the same team. I'm going Miles Sanders anytime touchdown. You guys know he has not scored a touchdown, whether rushing or receiving at all this year. He has 0 touchdowns, which is insane to me considering how well he's played over the last 3 weeks. So I think he's due for one. He's on a nice list, Kelsey. He's getting in the end zone, and I'm going to be happy.
Anybody on the nice list is good in my book, all right? For my first go for two pick, I actually chose a different game because, again, I'm not on the same conference call, folks. Somehow my call dropped when Brentley and Jamie are doing this conversation, but I'm looking at the Chicago Bears versus Seattle Seahawks game. Both of the Bears and Seahawks have had disappointing seasons, as we alluded to earlier in the conversation, and I can see wholesale changes for both franchises in the offseason, all right? So something to look forward to. The Bears have been terrible, just terrible against the spread this season. They only have 4 wins against the spread this season. When a game has closed with a 6.5-point spread, the under has cashed 66% of the time. So I have the under in this matchup for my pick in this game. All right, 41.5, under 41.5. All right, second go for two picks. Let's start with you on this one, Brentley.
Yeah, I'm going with T. Higgins over 60.5 receiving yards. As I mentioned, I fully expect Joe Burrow and co to shred this really depleted Baltimore secondary. When they played earlier in the season, T. Higgins had 15 targets. I know everyone was talking about Jamar Chase and how he went over 200 yards and things like that, but T. Higgins is always heavily involved in this offense. He's averaging 69.5 yards per game this season, so that's well below this total. I think T. Higgins goes over 100 today, so I'm really confident in this one. So love T. Higgins in this spot.
Yeah, the Baltimore defense, they've just been hurting. We've been playing telephone in Baltimore, like literally trying to call any family members that have football experience to maybe somehow make it to an open practice for this Ravens team. They just need somebody on defense. Jamie, give me your second go for two pick.
So I'm going to go with the pick I already made earlier, and I guess this will be the Joe Marino triple down special, as our producer Chris Schubert told me before the show. I'm taking the Eagles over team total again, over 24.5. I really think they're going to run the ball very effectively. Brentley just made the case with Miles Sanders' touchdown. I made the case about Dallas Goedert. I just don't think the Giants are going to be able to slow down the Eagles much at all. They're going to give them solid field position. I don't expect Jake Fromm to do anything on offense for New York. I think the Eagles can easily get into that 27-plus point range for them this week. So I'm all in on the Eagles, who are notoriously very nice to Santa Claus on Christmas.
I love how you pointed that out. All right, fly Eagles fly when you're nice. Only fly when you're nice. That's going to be our holiday theme for this show. And for my second go for two pick, I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Kansas City Chiefs game. The Chiefs have won their last 5 games on the money line against the spread. They should make it 6 in a row at home versus Steelers. It's that simple, folks. All right, so give me Chiefs at -10.5 for my second go for two pick. And with that being said, fellas, I hope you're ready because now we're going to welcome in our special guest, as always, who is Patrick Everson of Props US in conjunction with BetPrep for our weekly BetPrep breakdown. Patrick, thanks so much for joining us. How was your Christmas holiday?
Christmas was great. Christmas was outstanding. Good couple of days for sure. I hope everything was good with you on Christmas, Kelsey, and with the whole crew there at the Draft Network.
Thanks so much. Yes, we all had great Christmas. Santa blessed us all, so we're all very happy here at the Draft Network. Patrick, and with that being said, Patrick, now to football. We are still unfortunately seeing a lot of COVID and injuries impact some teams as the postseason continues to shape out. But with that being said, our first game I want to talk with you about is the Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I want to ask you, where is the money on the Broncos versus Raiders game? We have two 7-7 teams facing off in a game that's critical to the AFC wild card chase, and all eyes, of course, now on Drew Lock replacing the starter Teddy Bridgewater, who's out with a concussion.
Right, and that's just like I'm at the Aria Sportsbook right now. It's literally less than a mile down the street to Allegiant Stadium where that game will take place this afternoon, Kelsey. So checking with a couple of books on this, there was, believe it or not, I'm a little stunned by this, but there was sharp play on Denver to help bring this line down. And in fact, some books were Raiders 1.5 early on and actually flipped to Denver 1. Seeing Pickett at a few spots now is mostly. And at BetMGM Nevada here in Las Vegas, this was a heavily bet game for the Raiders ticket count, which is not really a surprise with Raiders being the hometown team here, although they have been pretty flighty, and there have been games where they've actually needed the Raiders, even when they're playing on their home field right down the street. But ticket count 4-1 at BetMGM Nevada, money 2-1 in favor of the Raiders. But again, some sharp play on Denver here. And again, this is just BetMGM Nevada, not necessarily the national picture. The national picture, I think, there's a little bit of difference from book to book to book when you get out of Las Vegas.
Yeah, makes sense, Patrick. Thank you for that one. And heading to our next game, the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. We know Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill has been cleared to play Sunday. And, of course, lots of questions around Travis Kelsey. All that to say, what are you hearing on the Steelers versus Chiefs game?
Well, I'm hearing Kelsey's out. That's for I'm pretty sure that's determined now. He's not playing. Maybe you guys may have a better update than I do at this point, but my knowledge this morning was that he's out. But as you pointed out, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill is in, and that led to this number jumping up to 10 at most books last night. There might even be some 10.5 floating around out there now. Early in the week, as this was all unfolding, midweek and so forth, there was sharp play at BetMGM Nevada on the Steelers at plus 10.5 and plus 10. Obviously getting very much the best of the number. This number got as low as 7 at some spots before it came off the board, and then they kind of started reassessing and so forth. BetMGM Nevada, tickets dead even. Money almost 2-1 on the Steelers for this game. And it's a later kick, so this one's got time to percolate. I don't think that's necessarily going to hold up at BetMGM Nevada, and I can tell you nationally, the lean is definitely toward the Chiefs at BetMGM and at other books. And I think as this day goes forward, you're going to see a lot more coming in on the Chiefs, and they're probably going to need the Steelers to at least bust up parlays and teasers, maybe moneyline parlays as well.
All right. Again, lots of eyes will be on that one. Another game lots of people will be watching. The Buffalo Bills taking on the New England Patriots. Some are asking, can the Patriots sweep the Bills? So, Patrick, where is the money on the Bills versus Patriots game?
Well, I'll tell you what, at BetMGM, at least at the moment, Kelsey, we still got a little ways before kick, and all it takes is one high roller to come in, and they can flip a game here. But right now, they want the Patriots to sweep the Bills. Believe it or not, the Patriots at home, short favorites, but this number's down as low as 1, I believe, at BetMGM. I think some books even this morning got as low as pick on that game, so the Patriots weren't even the favorite at that point. And the tickets and the money are kind of leaning toward the Bills. And a kind of a fascinating element with BetMGM Nevada is the money line play. I guess it's not really fascinating. If you think the Bills are going to win and it's at such a short number, you might as well take the money line and get a little bit of plus price on it if it's at 1 or 2 or what have you. So money line tickets and money line cash running heavily to Buffalo. So they've definitely got a liability to Buffalo here. Certainly wouldn't mind the Patriots taking care of business in this game and sweeping this series, I think.
Yeah, some people are ready to get the brooms out, Patrick, so we will see what happens. The next game, Patrick, I want to discuss with you is the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. I know there's a lot going on in this game. Of course, we now know the quarterback starting will be Josh Johnson, a 35-year-old journeyman. We know Lamar Jackson, of course, had in practice all week. He's out. Tyler Huntley got placed on the reserve COVID-19 list after many were riding high on them. And then even the Ravens practice squad quarterback had unfortunately got placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. So many things turning bad for Baltimore. So what are you hearing on the Ravens versus Bengals game?
Right, and this line has moved significantly because of that. It went from 2.5 Bengals to 4.5 Bengals a couple of days ago, and then on the quarterback news Saturday, went straight to 7 at BetMGM nationally and here at BetMGM Nevada. Here in Nevada, tickets 3-1 Bengals, money actually pretty close, but nationally, Jason Scott, the vice president of trading for BetMGM nationwide, said the Bengals are the largest liability in these early kickoffs. There's plenty of parlay play running the Bengals as well, and with the number getting to where it's bad, you're talking moneyline parlays and teasers and such. With them starting their third-string quarterback, Josh Johnson, they're definitely going to be Ravens fans behind the counter at BetMGM, and I'm sure at sportsbooks across the country today.
I completely agree with you on that one, Patrick. Patrick Everson, as always, thank you so much for joining us live. We always look forward to seeing you, and we look forward to seeing you next week as the NFL season continues to roll on. And now we'll bring back my co-host of the show, Jaime and Brentley, because, fellas, I couldn't let you guys off the hook without doing our bold bets. So I hope you're ready for it. All right,
I'm
Brentley,
ready.
again, since you're rejoining us. All right, Jamie's ready. Brentley, you're ready, right? We know you got a good one in store for us. All right, Brentley, because we missed you so much last week, let's have you start with your bold bet for this one. Let's see how bold you got this week, Brentley, to hopefully help you win big on today's games.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Josh Allen over 1.5 rushing touchdowns. And I know that's a pretty bold bet, but hear me out. I think this game is for the AFC East. I mean, winner goes home, essentially. And that means Josh Allen's going to be playing a lot of hero ball. And what does Josh Allen do when he plays hero ball? He runs. He uses his legs. So I think Josh Allen's going to call his own number when he gets the opportunity near the goal line. So look for Josh Allen to get 2 rushing touchdowns.
All right. You said it with confidence, Brentley. I like the bold bet. Josh Allen is a quarterback that I think many are saying deserves some more respect on his name. And so I think if he does that, he will get even more respect to his name. Jaime, what about your bold bet for this week?
I'm going to roll with the Lions money line here. I was shocked to see the kind of odds that I'm getting. You'll see pop up on the screen right now, almost 2.5 to 1 on the Lions money line. I don't know what the books are seeing on this Falcons team. I know they tend to play bad teams well, but if you just watch the way these two teams have played over the last month of the season, I would argue the Lions have played a better brand of football than what the Falcons have on a consistent basis. I know DeAndre Swift's not going to be there. I know Jared Goff's not going to play, but I'm also not going to pretend like Jared Goff is the tide that's rising all boats for the Lions. I expect them to be a scrappy team. Ahmad-Ra St. Brown, Craig Reynolds and company to really put this team on their back. And I think that for these type of odds against a meh Falcons team, I'm going to take a shot here that the Lions can come away with another victory.
How about those Lions? I feel like as we end the season now, it makes us even more excited for the draft to see where these teams will land. And for my bold bet, all right, I'm going with AB, Antonio Brown, over 1.5 touchdowns, of course, coming off the 3-game suspension. Most likely going to be, has to be really, Tom Brady's number 1 receiving option. Geez, we talked about how bad the Ravens had it, but how bad have the Buccaneers had it as well? They'll be without star receivers Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. So that's the one I'm feeling confident in. AB make me look good. And he has to come back with a vengeance. It's only right. It's only right. But that will do it for our bold bets this week. Count them, take them to the bank. Put the comments in if you agree with us or disagree with us. And as always, thank you so much, Jaime and Brentley. And thank you to all of you for tuning into this week's edition of the Money Down NFL show. As always, we'll be back at 11:45 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. So be sure to join us. We truly do appreciate all of you who tune in with us. We can't wait to see you next week for week 17 of NFL action. As always, please hit the subscribe button down below. See you all next show and enjoy a full slate of football. And actually, happy Kwanzaa. And also, we look forward to seeing you all in the new year, 2022. We can't wait to see you all. Bye, guys.